My M20 boyfriend has majorly turned me F19 off. How can I tell him? So for a little context, I, F19, have been dating my boyfriend, M20, for almost a year now. He's my first serious relationship and pretty much my first everything. I had absolutely no sexual experience before getting together with him. He literally had to teach me how to kiss. He's had other partners before me, so he has more experience. Ever since I gave him head for the first time a few months ago, I've given him head every time we've hung out, 20 plus. He has never returned the favor. He's fingered me 2 times. I never finished, but that's not the biggest deal to me because I was extremely hesitant and nervous receiving before. I have been getting much more comfortable in asking for stuff in return, and Eld finally felt confident enough to ask him to eat me out until tonight. We were on call playing some game where he'd made a joke about me being fishy. Obviously I was offended because although it's not true, it's something and I think most girls feel self-conscious about. I feel as if all the progress we've made has just been undone, and I don't know if I'll ever feel comfortable enough to ask for anything now. I didn't tell him his joke bothered me, and now I don't know what to do. I'm supposed to see him tomorrow, and I know it'll end with me giving him head. Again, not a problem for me, but I don't know what I'll say if he offers anything in return. Sorry for the rambling, I just really don't know what to do. Tell him to stop being so disrespectful and disgusting. Stop giving him head. He's a dick. Just tell him. Tell him the joke was unacceptable to you and that if he ever wants to go further, he'll learn to treat you with respect. Right now your, whatever you call it, is off limits to him because he majorly turned you off. I'd also consider passing on going down on him this time. Consequences are okay. If he's inexperienced, he needs to stop thinking like a boy and start thinking like a man, and a man knows better than to give his woman the ick. That's not a joke, that's just an insult. A joke is supposed to make people laugh. No wonder you were turned off. The person you were having sex with is an asshole. For me, this would be an immediate deal breaker. Yuck. Why do you keep giving head for nothing in return? Next time he wants to get frisky, give him a can of tuna and tell him you're tired and he won't know the difference. You gave your age and experience, what's his? Guys who immediately go to fish comments tend to just be pretending to know what they're talking about. That's just rude, man takes it all for granted. I 32 female blew up at my 65 male father-in-law with good reason, but I overstepped. What next? I 32 female got in a literal fight with my father-in-law, 65 male, this weekend. It's so fkn complicated, but my son, 4 male, stated his grandpa pinched him and I immediately checked on him and he confirmed Papa pinched him. Thought it was an accident, kid was fine. I was willing to move on and maybe address later because we were at a museum. I go in to talk to father-in-law, apologize for potentially overreacting, and he blows up on me saying our kid doesn't understand no and he needs to understand no, etc, typical boomer stuff. He eventually told me to go fuck myself, that I didn't need to go to their house and neither does my son if he doesn't play by his rules. Whatever TF that means. I was floored, and I turned around and left. Husband, 36 male, married nearly 12 years, have 2 toddlers, generally pretty solid together with normal hiccups, on my side. Talks to his dad, we stay apart rest of day and I plan to never speak to him again, at least for now, because I have never been spoken to with such disrespect from someone I generally respect. And hash it out with husband once we can GTFO this place. We go to their house to pack our stuff and head out. Father-in-law wants to talk to me. I consider for an apology, but instead he dives into how my kid doesn't understand no and how we're never going to get along and how he doesn't agree with anything I do for the kids, blah blah. It's incredibly upsetting and I eventually explode, which is fully not my nature. I tell him I thought we had been civil, even friendly for years, but that I knew that they never liked me and thought I was some pretentious asshole who took their son away. They've treated me poorly for years and I was going to maintain civility forever, but I snapped at this point. I said a few things that definitely overstepped and caused a lot of hurt. I told my father-in-law that his childhood trauma was not going to play a role in how we parented our kids. He has never discussed his fucked up childhood and this death crossed a line for him. I also expect he feels betrayed by his son for telling me about it, but neither of us know anything other than he had a really tough childhood and moved out at 15. I didn't consider the impact of this statement until my husband provided a bit more context after the fact, so obviously now I feel worse. I told my husband his parents will always love him, but right now his priority is our family and to get us the fuck out of this house. His parents. This made my husband feel as though I was giving him an ultimatum to choose between his parents and me, the kids forever. This also was very hurtful for father-in-law since my FIL's parents didn't love him, so, no, he doesn't have to love me, for my husband. I explained that that was not what I meant, I just meant tell your dad to shut up and get me out of this house RN. He understood the explanation but is still hurt. Please help me out, how can we move forward? I have never acted like this before and am generally extremely respectful, so now, 2 days later, I'm feeling really embarrassed and regretful, though I don't regret the overall basis of the argument. I do know I overstepped, though he did in many ways as well, including insinuating I am mentally unstable for my anti-Trump posts and that his friends agree, and that my kids are gonna turn out poorly because of how I parent, which is incredibly triggering for me. I definitely pointed out that his son and I are a team who both make parenting decisions, but for some reason I'm the bad guy and always have been. IDK, I'm truly spiraling. My father-in-law hasn't spoken to my husband because he's seething, and my husband is cordial but wandering around like a hurt puppy. I feel so many things, and yesterday I couldn't stop crying. I have a therapist and take meds for depression, and am practically begging my husband to go talk to someone, even just a friend, because that was traumatic to watch two people he loves fight like that, and he has to be able to process out loud. I'm rambling, I'm so sorry. Please help, any input would be great. But honestly, be gentle cause I am fucked up right now. Edit. To answer a couple questions, we do not live with them. They live about an hour and a half away, but we usually see them once a month. Often his mom will visit without his dad, so I don't plan to keep the kids from her if she can continue to do that. My husband needs to do some serious soul searching as well. I'm worried this is the beginning of the end, as he refuses to speak to a professional, and I don't think he'll do anything but harbor guilt and resentment for many multi-layered reasons if he doesn't go and flesh it out with a counselor. For what it's worth, they're blaming Grandpa's increasing health issues for his lashing out. However, I work with elderly sick folks for a literal living and will not accept that as an excuse, because even the worst patients don't spew such vitriol. Oh man, he pushed you and you snapped. Don't beat yourself up, it will change nothing. The bottom line is he pinched a child, which would have enraged me and should have enraged your husband. Sometimes you gotta get disrespectful to let people know you were being respectful the whole time. Where TF is your husband in all this? Why wasn't he angry as fuck about his dad physically reprimanding your son? Why hasn't he stood up for you and said, we parent as a team, but out? Why is it you're being demonized for having a perfectly normal reaction to being pushed until you snap, when the blame for this situation lies entirely with your Phil? Whether he agreed with your parenting or not, there is never, ever a good reason to lay hands on a child in that way. Especially a kid that is not yours. All kinds of yikes. Info. What was your toddler doing when he was ignoring being told, no? My sister's kid would not stop biting me despite me telling them, no, over and over again. They thought it was a funny game, and I got so fed up that I bit him back. Not crazy hard or anything, but he hasn't bitten me since. It's not typical, boomer stuff, to expect a 4-year-old to understand being told, no. It's a reasonable expectation that a child understands when they're being told to stop a certain behavior. Chances are you're the only person who's ever stood up to this guy and his ways. He didn't deserve a traumatic childhood, but the generations after don't deserve to suffer any lingering toxicity through his behavior. We all have a choice to be better than our predecessors. He has a choice to find an outlet for his trauma in healthier ways, but it sounds like people, including your husband, have enabled his behavior for years. Your priority is your children. Father-in-law shouldn't have nipped any of them. Let your husband deal with his family until the dust settles, then try to have a healthy conversation with a satisfactory result for everyone. I feel like there is a lot of information left out of this post. You are very vague about what was said, and never explain what your kid was doing that the dad wouldn't approve of, other than that the kid didn't listen to the word, no. However, people don't just blow up like this out of the blue. Sounds like there were festering issues between you and Phil, and you both dealt with it in unhealthy ways. Have you talked to your husband to see how he's feeling? Have you thanked him for staying by your side? My girlfriend, 23F, wants to go on a break, 24M. Do I survive the break or do we just break up? My girlfriend and I have been together for about 4 years now. It's been great, no serious fights, great relationship with each other's families, and we agree on most things. I don't drink, smoke, or participate in bar, club culture, while she is the opposite of me. She likes to go out with friends to the bar or club and have a good time, which I understand and don't have an issue with it. She hasn't been doing it much recently since her schoolwork demands a lot of her time. I would consider myself to be very understanding and respectful when it comes to how she wants to spend her free time, often giving her space after a long day and just checking in every so often throughout her day. Due to her busy and often unpredictable schedule, we hang out once a week, usually for about 6 hours. Throughout the week we FaceTime and text often, and we just became used to this routine. We live separately and it looks like it will probably stay like that for the next little while since we are both in for the next few years. We recently came back from a trip. It was great and it seemed like she enjoyed herself. After returning home, I got sick for about a week and we didn't see each other for 2 weeks after we returned. When we see each other again, something seemed off. I suggested we watch a movie at my place and she said that sounded nice. After the movie she asks to talk and brings up how is confused and doesn't know if she sees a future with me. I was blindsided since everything up until now was great. She continued to explain how she felt unloved and not heard, and how she's been feeling it for almost a year. I heard her out and told her that the month leading up to our trip I was complacent and took her for granted. Which I was, I'm not going to lie. I was lazy and didn't put effort into planning outings for us or dates. All in all, she said she needed time to think, and that was 3 weeks ago. I love her and she knows that. I can see myself marrying her and being a mother to our children. Do I leave her alone on this break, or do I do little things like buy her flowers, get her lunch, text her saying that I'm thinking of her? Or do we just break up? It's been 3 weeks of overthinking and I can't do it anymore. Any and all help is appreciated. First post on this sub, by the way. Sorry for the choppiness, may have to edit to add more details later on. Unfortunately, she already broke up with you. You mentioned only spending 1 day per week together. After dating for 4 years, that's not a good sign either if you want to integrate your lives. I'm not shocked she's not feeling it. You're not on a break. She dumped you. I know that's rough to hear. You were really young when you met. I know this period will be rough for you, but she broke up with you and you need to move on. You got one woman. You can get another. Just spend some time working on yourself. It'll get better. She met someone and wants to see if this person a better option than you. This is not someone you want to build a future with. You have been together 4 years and don't live together or spend much time together. What is there to save, because this isn't being a couple? Surprised that one of you didn't leave earlier. You need to figure out what you want out of life and a partner, because this isn't really a relationship. When I was younger, I broke up with my boyfriend to be with someone else so I could say I was not cheating. Mind you, I couldn't trust him, but it was no excuse. This may be how she may be thinking. Being in limbo is torture. I suggest that you just assume you are broken up so you can start processing, instead of your mind spinning in all directions. 38F married to 36M with a son of 16 months. Any advice on saving my marriage? I have been married for 5 years and have a 16-month-old son. After the first year of marriage, my husband suffered from general anxiety disorder, GAD. He took treatment from the doctor and has recovered significantly. He meditates and goes to the gym daily. He takes good care of himself. However, all his decisions are still based on his experience with anxiety. He is anxious that one day he will not be able to perform and lose his job. He has been always fighting with me over several different issues. He pulls me down saying I have low IQ and I don't know anything. He does offer love in the form of some gifts on special occasions. We don't have any physical or emotional intimacy. He has been watching porn and this shattered me because I kept asking him for sexual intimacy. He doesn't share much load with the baby, and I often feel alone taking care of the baby. He shouts when I talk about it or any other responsibility. He doesn't want to take me and my baby out because our boy runs here and there and he has to make an effort to look after him. He has promptly refused to take our son anywhere, citing that he cannot enjoy them. He sleeps in the afternoon and at night also for a full 10 hours. I take care of the baby alone. The reason for his sleep is cited by him: it helps him to have a clear mind because of anxiety. We are staying with my parents because of a small baby and both of us had to work from home. Staying with my parents has also impacted our relationship because my mother doesn't cook food as per his liking, my parents think that he doesn't take care of me and the baby, and my husband is very judgmental towards them and they are towards him. After an argument between my mother and my husband, they have stopped talking for the last 6 months and I'm getting trapped in the crossfire. I am tired of my marriage. Honestly, I don't know what to do now. I am in so much stress and my mental health has gone down the drain. The more effort I put, the more I am being insulted. Sometimes, I feel my son deserves a father and I keep quiet. I want to improve my relationship with my partner. Is there anything I can do to protect my marriage and to make my husband see us as family and not him as a singular entity? Too long did not read. Need help for saving my marriage. Have your parents kick him out. You are in the perfect and safest position to get rid of this useless and abusive man. File for custody and child support and for a divorce. Have your parents help you move his things out. If you want to be nice, you can pay for a storage unit for a month and give him the key, and change the locks to the house. Your husband isn't ever going to respect you. You had to end the marriage. He fundamentally doesn't respect women. It's disgusting that he expects your mother to also be his slave. Get rid of him. He's not even a good parent. Your son deserves a better and attentive dad if he's going to have one in his life. Otherwise there's no point. I have GAD. Anxiety makes life extremely difficult. Sleeplessness and therefore constant anger are a few of the outcomes. But medication helps. All being said, assholeness is not a GAD symptom. It is all about his character. You're a single mom already. Ditch the dead weight. Your husband is a body in the house, not a father. Your husband does not love you or your son. What do you want to protect? He went to therapy for his anxiety. Will he go to couples therapy to save your marriage? If not, kick him to the curb. There's honestly nothing worth saving. So he belittles you, doesn't help with his own baby and sleeps 10 hours a day, and his only saving grace is occasional gifts on special occasions? Why are you still with him? You are literally getting nothing out of it.